Welcome to Making Brownlees. Today I'm sitting with the CTO of TransactionCity, Mr. Patel, Arun Patel, a platform building something serious, important in business marketplace trade. Let's start simple, right? And let's know from the CTO, okay? What is TransactionCity really solving?
Yeah, I think it's solving something important right now that a lot of people are facing in the e-commerce space. We have a bigger, larger presence of some e-market places like Amazon and Walmart and so forth. However, they're kind of dictating their terms, right, for each merchant when they come onto the marketplace. And these terms are somewhat hard for merchants to make a money or a profit. And TransactionCity is trying to break those barriers for merchants. We are both not only customer friendly, but we're merchant friendly, and we want to allow merchants to have an opportunity to make money online, right, and not get stuck with extra fees and red tape that they face with the marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, Walmart, and others.
Gotcha. Most people do not realize, how broken business buying and selling still is. What's the biggest friction point you saw that you made you this?
Okay, so when I had used other marketplaces to see if I can, make some money and everything. A lot of the friction that I saw was that, putting the information, trying to get the right pricing, also try to be on time with the shipping. There's a lot of regulation and stuff behind it. I think TransactionCity is trying to avoid all of that. We've also worked on some technology right now recently where a person can not only just post the product, but we're looking to even combine some AI as part of this solution where they have a particular product, you can use the AI tool to sort of post the product for you, right? With all the information, you can check prices as well, and then decide which price you want to sell it at. And all the requirements, and you can dictate your own refund policies. You can dictate your own shipping policies, right? Wow. It's not something dictated by somebody else. So I noticed that I'm not going to mention names, but like some places where if you don't ship on time, you're going to get your account suspended. Some places again, like I had shipped some products to Amazon, and they took those products, they evaluated, and they completely said that these products are not good, and they didn't ship it back to me. They threw it in the garbage, basically, at that point. So I completely lost money on those products as well. We're not in that business. We're in the business of letting the merchant have a presence, have their storefront, but we also want to make sure the merchant is legitimate and they're not causing any fraud. So, again, it's a buyer beware situation. When someone's on a marketplace, that's always going to be there. And this also happens in any marketplace. But at the end of the day, we do want to give the merchant the ability to show themselves, to be able to have the tools so they can sell their products, they can make some money. And if they have a good following and if they have a good integrity, they'll have a long-lasting relationship with TransactionCity.com.
Perfect. Arun, what's the hardest part about building trust in a marketplace like this? Is it the verification? Is it the fraud prevention? Or, transaction transparency?
I think all of it is a little bit hard, right? Verification, again, we are trying to make the verification process much easier. I know that with other e-commerce places that the verification takes weeks, right? We also trying to make the transactions simpler. Again, with transactions right now, I wanted to also mention some newer technologies that we might be introducing as well. Besides using PayPal and your credit card for doing transactions, we're also looking at stable coins, right, as another option to have it in a checkout process. This is something that's going to be not available maybe in other marketplaces, but we're thinking to integrate that as well.
So do you have a blockchain token?
Yeah, so we may piggyback on some other stable coins that are out there, right? So we know about Tether, we know about Circle, we also know about PayPal also has their own stable coin. So we may piggyback on those technologies and integrate.
Perfect. In KYPTRONIX, we have the pride to have our own token as
Great.
well, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And we also have worked with multiple token blockchain providers, right, where we have created wallets for them,
right,
set up the smart contracts for them, right? We are also working with agriculture company from California, so we are also taking care of the entire IoT premises.
No, that's great.
So we're combining IoT and blockchain,
Yeah.
where they get all information on their kitty bank, right, and all the transaction is done through their own token.
No, that's right. And that's the future, right? And so what TransactionCity.com does is that it's not stagnant, right? We want to work with what future technologies are coming in with, right? And get ahead of that, basically. So what I like about TransactionCity.com, especially working here, is that we're open to new technologies. We're open to new ideas at that point. And like I said before in the beginning of the conversation, is that we're merchant friendly. Right? We know merchants need certain solutions, and we know merchants are not going to be able to afford a lot of these solutions on their own. So for them to have a presence, have the solution ready, and less regulate. I mean, there's regulation. Obviously, you can't do something wrong, but I mean, like, less of the demands that a private marketplace puts on them, right? Plus the fees they take. We want to make sure that we can alleviate all those headaches for the merchant, and so they can be able to do their business in peace.
Correct. And once you get, blockchain in this ecosystem, right, the pricing gonna go very less,
Yeah,
There'll be proper transparency.
sure.
P2P will be the proper solution,
Yeah,
where you can enter, circle
right.
the entire ecosystem.
Exactly.
Amazing, that's the future for sure.
Right.
So I don't know if you could explain, Transaction City into one founder statement, what would be that?
I would say freedom.
Freedom? Oh, awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's nothing like it.
Encompasses capitalism as well, right? At the end of the day.
100%.
So, being in the United States and, being people say the United States is like a completely capitalistic society. It's not a completely capitalistic society because there's always, some government intervention. A true capitalistic society would be working on supplies and demand, and, there would be a completely no government intervention. So, but we're not in that phase. But it is a pro-capitalistic society. And I believe in that, right? And I think every nation that is in a capitalistic society, or at least has pro-capitalism in their financial markets, are successful, right? Where are these e-commerce places right now? Other e-commerce places. They're truly in a socialistic society, basically. And I truly say this because I've been on their marketplaces and I feel like someone is looking down at you with a camera and checking each and everything you do and saying, oh, you did something wrong, sorry, you're terminated, basically. I think Transaction City is about the freedom and the capitalism that comes with it, right? It's about the American entrepreneurship, or any entrepreneurship that comes with that.
Nice, nice. So one thing, I respect is, you've been very clear with your expectations, your executions and system, And honestly, that's why, I think Team KYPTRONIX stands out, We don't just talk strategy, we actually build an infrastructure that makes, growth predictable.
Right.
So the system will be combination of both, tech partnership, support, we try to make sure that you get everything, in your
Yeah,
table.
no, I agree. That's true.
Awesome. So what kind of support or, tech partnership would you actually moving forward needing, to fast track, tech Transaction City?
Yeah, so as of this point, a lot of the development work is completed, right? And so we are looking to now market ourselves. I know that a lot of solutions when they go out there, it's not completely bug free, right? I mean, something is always coming up, right? We're pretty on top to make sure that the functionalities are complete, to make sure that the merchant has a seamless experience, they can be onboarded quickly. We can guide them for everything. I would say that our first round would be to make sure that we get the presence and footprint that we needed. As time moves on, there's always going to be some functionality or some additional technology that's going to be added, and then that is where the partnership is going to be more important at that point in time. But as of this minute, we want to get the presence out there, we want to get more merchants out there, and we need the feedback from the merchants. We have already done unit testing and quality testing. I myself is a user of the site besides programming the site, and we have other merchants using the site too, basically, and giving their comments. But we want to get more out there so we get more feedback on that, basically, as well.
Sure. Arun, what are the next 12 months for Transaction City?
The next 12 months is to get a huge footprint out there, number one. Number two, to get ahead of the technology or integrate the technologies that I mentioned, especially the AI component, right, which we're working on, and the stablecoin component, right, the currency component. These two technologies that are out there, they are not been adapted, I would say, very well by most companies. I know the larger companies are adapting and some are doing the crypto, but I'm talking about the average person getting into these technologies is not there yet. Transaction City wants to open the doors for people, open the doors for merchants especially. Use AI, use stablecoin in your process. You'll have a difference in presence. You will be able to be more wider range in terms of for customers. you're talking about crossing borders at this point when you're doing transactions and everything as well. That is what we want to be, two spots that we want to get that footprint out there, and we want to get these technologies integrated basically at that point. That's the next 12 months.
Perfect. You're pretty straight, with your plans. Nothing like it. So what's one biggest milestone, that changed everything?
It'd be a milestone in terms of like the recent milestone, or just maybe like
TransactionCity, milestone, what has, motivated.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of functionality, but the one thing that I saw that we're implementing that I liked a lot, and I didn't see in other places, that if you have a lot of products, right, and you wanted to basically load those products onto the platform, doing it one by one is kind of difficult. So we do have this import mechanism on the site right now on the dashboard, and so there's a spreadsheet. You fill out the spreadsheet with all your products, and it's separated by the different fields and everything. Once you put that spreadsheet together, you can just upload it, and it will automatically post those products pretty quickly there, and you're just maintaining your inventory through that spreadsheet. If you go to other platforms, they have something similar, but it's cumbersome. A lot of it's manual work. We're trying to get this easier for merchants to post these products on there. Besides having maybe the AI component in the future, at least quickly get onboarded with that, and that's probably one of the bigger milestones I think that we have on TransactionCity.
Love that. Perfect. So Arun, we will do a short rapid fire.
Okay.
Want to see, how quick you handle stuff, right?
Okay, sure.
So first thing you do after waking up.
First thing I do after waking up is pick up my cell phone and check my email, literally at that point. But because what I like to do is that I want to know what's coming ahead, right, for the rest of the day. The emails that come in or the text messages come in, I prepare myself mentally, right, that I need to be able to answer, I need to be able to follow up and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the first thing. Unfortunately, we live in a digital society, and I know everybody has a cell phone, and I don't think that's the best thing to do. If you're asking me what's the right thing to do when you get up in the morning, is put your hands together and pray to God, to saying that you're safe and that you're healthy, and that's probably the right way to get up in the morning. But unfortunately, I know we live in a different world today.
That's right. So Arun, one tool, you cannot live without as CTO.
Probably my computer at the end of it. I mean, obviously cell phone is required, but like I was brought up in the 80s. Computers were starting off there. I'm not sure if people remember Apple, right? And then the IBM computers. But I was brought up with a computer, and in all honesty, I would be on the computer all day, basically. So that's one thing I cannot live without. Even if I go out travel, yes, we use a laptop or something, but my desktop, I have monitors, and I just go across all these monitors and do so many things at the same time. So, that's where I am. I probably, if I occupy my time 80% is right in front of my computer. I can't live without my computer, that's for sure.
That's right. So biggest, CTA mistakes, you made early, and you don't want.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah. This is, I have over 30 years background in technology, right? And in terms of, I think this is probably go across for many people, is that when you have an idea, you just implement it basically at that point, right? I think that's a mistake, right? Because what you're going to do is that you're thinking that everybody wants this, right? This is the best solution that's possible. I have this greatest idea, and when it comes down to it, you really didn't address the real questions and answers. So I have changed my method now. I start with a notebook basically at this point, right? And have a pen. And I write everything down, right? And what am I trying to accomplish? What solution I'm trying to do? I put everything down on paper. And I realized lately is that, in the last at least 5 years, that once it's on paper, but implementing it becomes very faster because you have everything on paper that you exactly know what to do. While if you have it in your mind and start implementing it, you still are not sure what to do. And 90% of the time, the application will have mistakes, and you're spinning your wheels a lot basically at that time, basically, right? So I think as a CTO, and I think a lot of CTOs that they'll say, oh yeah, this is what we need to do, and they'll like jump and like get it done, while they really don't, take 2 steps back and say, you know what, let's put this on paper first. Let's try to do that. And I see that in Fortune 500 companies, not just in like smaller companies as well too. I've experienced, and I really judge people on that. I judge people's experience, like I can understand if you're young and you're doing something, you may not have the experience, but over time, if you've been in technology and if you are just quick to like do, my son, for example, he also wants to come to technologies. He's pretty quick to let me get on the computer and do something. I said, no, calm down. Put it on paper first. I know you're young and you're fresh and you're quick. But I think that's the biggest mistake that I think that I made. I think a lot of people make as a CTO basically as well. Yeah. Probably become a Swami or something like that. So, I'm a very religious person, actually. That's my that. So what happens is that I love technology. I love science fiction, right? So science fiction, technology. I think people sort of have that same genre and
Yes.
and liking. So, but at the same time, I love history and I love religion, basically as well. So, I'm always fascinated about history and what people done in history, right? And I think religion is also part of history as well. I know people practice, right, as well, but but you can't really take away history out of religion, right? Because it has a history, and what led up to some of this religion nowadays is that you have to understand where the starting point is and the precursors to that. So I'm a big fan of that. And if there was not technology and we weren't like really living in a scientific society at this point or digital society, I'd probably be more in a historian or a religious person, basically.
Enlightening people, in other
Yeah,
words, right?
yeah, yeah.
Perfect. So one founder you admirably, you look up to,
Oh, wow. I
who
mean,
is it?
there's so many. There's so many. I think the one that really inspired me was probably Steve Jobs. Yeah, and it's not like because of his success. I'm not looking at success, but I'm looking at him in terms of like vision. He was a visionary, and I know Steve Jobs wasn't the best person in the world. You hear a lot of stories about him not being the best boss, right? But when you look at it, I don't think that's true, right? I mean, yes, sometimes when you're a boss, you might have to be a little bit hard, right? You want to get things done. You have a vision and you want to get that executed, and you want to surround people with that will help you with get that vision, basically, right? And he had some really like intense visions that I saw. I mean, I know a lot of people. I know like some people are saying like some people mention other. I'll take Elon Musk, great guy. I have nothing personally against him, right? But a lot of the visions, a lot of the companies that he formed, for example, have to deal with technologies that were already out there. If you look at electronic vehicles, right, electrical EVs, basically. In 1996, America already had an EV out there by General Motors. So this was like they already had that technology and they already had these places where you can charge your vehicle as well in California, right? Unfortunately, that whole project died out under GM, right? Thanks to Elon Musk, right? Yeah, it came back and everything, but I don't think that was a vision. I think that was when I say vision, this like the cell phone right here, right? I didn't imagine this at all. That in the 80s, right? We were growing up with technologies, and we something called a brick on the cell phone. This would not even have come to cross my mind. I would have not in phantom that something like this would have happened. This is something that Steve Jobs had like sort of envisioned. That's an inspiration.
Right, very, very true,
To
We never imagine about it, but he
create a
made
company like
it into actuality.
exactly right. That takes like a deeper vision. To make a company like SpaceX, I think that's great. I mean, SpaceX is a great company. Have we been going to space? Yeah, we've been doing that, right? I mean, NASA has been doing that. A lot of countries have been doing that. So it's not something that's different. It may be something where he took technology and try to get it out there, but that's fine. But to have a deeper vision and to really change society, like that, there are things in history that you see in America or around the world that actually change society in a dramatic way, right? And I think Steve Jobs is one of them, basically, in the
Yeah,
recent.
respect to him, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Love that. So,
yeah,
final question, okay, before we
yeah.
wrap it up.
Sure.
If you would give one advice to somebody who wanna create something in marketplace space,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
what's your suggestion? What's your feedback would
It's,
be?
it's the same. It's the same thing I said in the beginning. Understand what the merchant wants, right? Look at from the merchant's perspective, right? And so this goes back to the CTO mistake. I'm making a solution, right? But have you really addressed the customer? Have you addressed the problem? Become them one time, right? I became a merchant online at one time and was on these different platforms. I realized what the difficulty and how people are disgruntled right now at this point, right? Because I experienced myself that process. So that is one thing, that's the advice I would make. If you want to make a marketplace, first become a user of somebody's marketplace. Realize where the hurdles are, realize where the drawbacks are, and that will give you the opportunity of learning how to make a better marketplace. To say that I'm going to make a marketplace or any solution without even being part of that, it's like saying that I'm going to make a software solution for a doctor's office or a medical solution. If you're not a medical doctor, or if you're not been in the medical field, I think it's difficult for a person who's outside that field to come up with a solution for the field itself. Be in that field. That's the advice I would give to anybody basically at that point.
That's so powerful, and yes, you're correct. Thank you for coming on to Breaking Boundaries, Mr. Patel. Thank
Okay?
you so much for your time. To
Right.
everybody listening to Breaking Boundaries, Transaction City is building something real, and I'm excited to see what they got. So if you have any queries in regards to Transaction City, you can always reach out to Mr. Patel. Mr. Patel, how people gonna get in touch with you?
So, TransactionCity.com, you can go there. It will go to a common email, but me and my CTO both, I mean, my CEO, sorry, the CTO, we'll both get the emails basically. So don't worry about that. So you can go there and just contact us through the website.
I'll also add up, the web address. I'll also add up the emails, so
Yeah,
people can get in touch with you. Right?
exactly.
Thank you everybody for tuning in to Breaking Boundaries. We'll
Right.
see you in the next episode. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay. Have a
Bye
great
bye
day.
for now.